technique experts may be available in certain areas, so you have to be in there. Like wine, okay, the liquid, the drinking. So you have the red wine, the white wine, right? The wine. So you have to be in there, okay, to manufacture. So another one is Taiwan is very. I was so surprised with it. Anyone been try the Taiwan whiskey? Which one? Yeah, Macau. Laban.
Quite a difficult name.
Right.
To pronounce.
宜兰的那个名车是哈，怎么念？卡巴兰 ，OK， 卡巴兰。Yeah. Taiwan's whiskey, okay. Right, Kamalan. Yeah, that's the Taiwan's whiskey, okay. Taiwan, we used to produce the beer and some liquids, but not whiskey, okay. So first time, I think it's a drinking company for the tea and the coffee. They used to manufacture the tea and the coffee and some water, just pure water. And I don't know why they decided to produce the whiskey. So that's an interesting thing. Spill about anyone, remember?
KNALAN.
This one. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Whiskey.
Oh. I have to tell them what my ears. Because if you are too young, because you are too young, you are not allowed to.
So we're gonna see your age?
I don't know. Whatever.
You're too young still.
Oh, I have to save my country.
You still have to say something
Oh.
else, Dawson.
Third one.
Third one.
Okay.
Just put your real age.
I want to be old.
No.
Not enough.
No,
See,
see,
your birthday.
your birthday, the last one.
Oh, birthday. Anytime.
I don't think
No,
that.
Professor, the
The
third
last, the third one, you said Jung something.
That is one.
No.
Oh.
I don't think
Why so?
that. Just put 1990.
Mm-hmm.
It says year,
Yeah.
then month, then thing. See?
Okay. Oh, how come you can select?
I don't know.
Okay. Whatever.
Again.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. Just
Location,
occasion.
doesn't matter.
So that's the problem, right? Sometimes, yeah. Thank you. When you take trains or bus to Taipei on the way, you definitely will pass the Ilan, and if you have a chance to can stop by this factory there. Okay. This is I don't know if they have the kind of service or not, but at the beginning, I think about 20 years ago, maybe less than 20 years ago, they just established this factory there. And yeah, and when you win there, they will provide you a free whiskey and a snack, just like some beer company, laboratory, they always provide. And I remember the price they set for this kind of whiskey is quite high, a little bit higher. And the special is that when you buy a whiskey, you will always see they say, okay, this whiskey is 12 years old, 10 years old, 20 years old, okay, even they have some 30 years old, okay, but not whiskey tell you, okay, it's 2 years old or 3 years old, because that's a short, very short, the period is too short to claim it's a good whiskey. But this company is very special. They say, okay, with the very special skills, they can make the good whiskey for in 2 years or 3 years and taste as the same as the 10 years old whiskey. Okay, but nobody believe. Actually, I don't believe. Okay, what I believe is that okay, because they are established in such a short time, so of course they don't have a long enough whiskey to sell, right? So they are using their marketing strategy, okay, to create another value for this kind of because they don't have the product, so they have to. The only product they have is 2 years or 3 years, so they have to give some stories behind that one. But why they doing that? That's because the water. Okay, the water quality of water is very good in the areas. That's why they start from the water, the tea, and the coffee. Okay, so its location is proper. Okay, location. But that's a very good one, good story because they have to prove. If they climb, they give a story about that one. They have to prove, right? So they go to the world whiskey contest. Okay, and win some champions and making second prize. And second, the silver and the gold are branch for that one. So they are coming back. Say, okay, I was the world champion in people stuff. And I remember one time I have a friend from Russia. When I visited Russia, they every meal we had to drink the vodka, okay? Especially for the dinner, they had to serve the vodka. So when they come back here to visit me and for a business trip, okay, of course, there, and I asked them what kind of wine you want to have, beer or something. I said, I want to taste the Taiwan's whiskey. How come you know that way? But unfortunately, they say, okay, they know the Taiwan's whiskey. Okay, they are asking me, well, maybe we can try some Taiwan's whiskey. But the dinner is for business, so I have a budget limit. And I go out to ask them how much for the bottle of the most small bottle for the Taiwan. 6,000 NT dollars.
Wow.
6,000 NT dollars. So I come back and say, well, they don't say. How about we have a red wine instead? 2,000.
That's expensive.
Very, very expensive. But it's a business trip. I cannot climb to our mister say, okay, I spent 6,000 for a bottle of whiskey, right? But instead I go out. I mean, next day I buy another one for that. Okay, because in the restaurant it's much higher. Okay, actually it's about 2,000 something, so that's okay. Yeah. So it's still, I mean, this is a good story that they are create their own value, and even the overseas, I mean, the vodka. The Russia is famous as a vodka. They always have a strong liquids. They still like this one. They still like this one. So interesting. Okay. We saw right 6,000, right? Yeah.
But this one is limited edition.
Right. But actually, you buy a normal one, about around 2,000 something.
Yeah, 1,500.
Yeah, 1,000. Yeah, that's. But in the restaurants, it's quite expensive. Even the the manager in the restaurant tell me, no, you don't. You don't buy from here. That's very expensive. Okay, you just have a beer. That would be. I said, but I still need a wine. I said, how about this? The red wine. It's better. Yeah. All right. This is another issue that the cost force. Okay. Most of the people, most of the situations, the company trying to purchase to run after the cheaper cost. No matter where the country is, they will move their country. Taiwan, our umbrella manufacturing firms, all the shoes firms doing the same thing. Okay. We are moving our shoes manufacturing firms from Taiwan to China, and now most of the companies moving to Vietnam, looking for the cheaper labors there. Okay. One of my students, he also is the owner of a small manufacturing company. Okay, they are moving from China and move to the Vietnam. And of course, not in the big city. Okay, in the big city, everything is the same. Okay, you are going to Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh City or the Holland City. It's more expensive than Taiwan, okay, in some areas. So what I mean is they are moving to a very local, not an urban area, the rural area. Okay. So one time, he tell me the story that how he made a decision to move from Taiwan to China and to Vietnam. He said he convinced his wife, say, how about we move from Taiwan to China? And his wife against his decision. However, it's a force. There's a strong force for that because the cost for labor is getting higher and higher, and the land cost is higher, and also the environmental protections issues making the cost is higher. So they moved to China, and then he decided to move to the Vietnam. His wife said, "How about we divorce?" Because he said, "I don't really want to. I mean, because that's so difficult, right? You have a different. You have to travel around. Means you have to travel around, and also the risk is very high. Okay, of course, his wife is just making a joke, just make it as a threat to him. Okay. And then he decided, after he found a location, established the firm there, he took his wife with him, travel from Taipei to their manufacturer. After his wife visited the factory and come back to Taiwan, on the airplane, his wife cried, okay, because he don't know how much efforts, how suffered her husband has been through. Okay, even he go to the airport, taking the train from Taipei to airport, they still have to take 6 hours by bus to the factory. So you have to be very, rural areas, because that in the areas they will have much cheaper land and the labor. Okay. So that's the profit of the companies come from. The cost of the labor, the cost of the land. Okay, not the materials only, not the technology only, but mostly, especially for a traditional manufacturing company. So that's one. Okay. Of course, sometimes the areas have a much cheaper raw materials. That could be a reason. Just as I mentioned, the water, the wine factory company, they have to close to high quality waters. If the quality is not good, can they make wine? Of course they can with high technology, but they have to refine the wine several times and make a lot of different efforts there, the cost will be huge. Then that means that they can do that, but doesn't mean they have profit. Okay, they cannot have a power to compete with other products, okay, especially when the economics turn bad. Okay, nobody wants to buy a luxury goods, and you have to cut your price. And some products they can cut their price because their cost actually is quite low, but some cannot because they. But if the economy is good, then nobody care about that, right? You can always make your price as high as possible. Okay. Just the profit is different. Someone have big profit, someone have a smaller profit. But when the economy is going down, the story will turn quite differently. Some store will shut down. Okay, so that's we're the bank run. Okay. All right, let's have a 10-minute break. And I will come back to you.